Welcome to P3, I'm Randall Mark. This is a show that explores the fascinating people, places, and perspectives that make up our world. On today's show, we take you to Jerusalem in Israel, where I get a chance to experience the largest Holocaust museum in the world. This is P3. Over 6 million Jews were systematically murdered during Nazi rule under the Holocaust. The largest and most comprehensive museum dedicated to remember both the martyrs and survivors of the Holocaust is called Yad Vashem in Jerusalem. P3 was recently in Israel, courtesy of the Hebrew University of Jerusalem. And while I was there, I visited Yad Vashem, the Holocaust Museum, to try to better understand what happened during this dark chapter of human history. Doctor, I'm feeling a sense of overwhelmed feeling as I walk into this square, the Warsaw Square as it's called, in Yad Vashem. Explain what Yad Vashem means and what I'm about to experience here.
Well, Yad Vashem comes from the book of Isaiah. It's part of a phrase in the book that talks about an eternal memorial. Really, that's the idiomatic translation, even though the Hebrew means a monument and a name or a hand and a name, but the idiom is an eternal memorial. And here at Yad Vashem, we are a memorial to the victims of the Holocaust here in the Warsaw Ghetto Square, from which the same artwork here that is in the actual square in Warsaw, from which some 265,000 Jews were deported in the summer of 1942 to the Treblinka death camp. Those among the 6 million victims of the Holocaust, it's for that reason that we have this eternal memorial here at Yad Vashem.
I'm looking at these pieces of art here, which are really graphically kind of pull the viewer into the horror that these people are about to experience. First of all, you've been working here for over 20 years at this place. What has drawn you in to work in a place that is so somber, and yet is there any hope or joy in working in this place as well?
Well, of course, the Holocaust is a very serious event, and it's certainly a very somber event, but there's many things that we derive from it as we learn about it. And we learn a great deal about human behavior. And as much as there's very difficult human behavior in the Holocaust, there are certain points of light in the Holocaust. We can talk about issues about how families held together, how people did their best in order to help their loved ones, their friends, and a lot of self-sacrifice that goes on. We can certainly talk about the righteous among the nations. Yad Vashem's recognized 23,000 individuals, roughly, now, non-Jews who rescued Jews during the Holocaust, most of whom risked their lives to do so. These are points of light in the darkness. And of course, as somber as this place is, it also relates to things that are going on today in our world, other events that we certainly don't want to say they're the Holocaust, but they have certain elements that are similar to what was going on in the period. And so we can take this place, bring it with us, and then try to understand our present world better.
The thing about the Holocaust is I grew up with an understanding of this event in my own psyche in the 80s and beyond. But this hasn't always been. This has been, you've worked hard, Israel and other places have worked hard to recognize that there was something unique about the Holocaust. Explain to me what you think was unique about this horrific event.
Well, I think that there's, of course, I'm a historian, so a historian is going to tell you any historical event's unique. It's always unique. But in particular, in this case, when we look at what the Nazis were trying to do, which is that they set out a group and said that this group is evil just because they exist, that they're to the detriment of mankind, they have to be dealt with, and that they have an apocalyptic view of what they're doing. They're trying to build a utopian society. They have a whole ideology that's around a racial view of the world, and they turn the Ten Commandments upside down, saying that you have to destroy this group of people for the good of the world. And what's the group they're destroying? The group that gave us the Ten Commandments, that gave us Western morality. So that's one of the very unique parts of the Holocaust that we can talk about. Perhaps the other thing is that we have a government, an entire government process that's behind this, and then we have people around Europe and the countries that come under Nazi domination, directly or indirectly, that take part in this for many reasons because of a long history of antipathy towards the Jews. So there are other events of genocide in the world, there are other events of mass killings, but not with this utopian kind of view, not with this view the Nazis have that if you murder the Jews, it's for the good of the world.
Wow, it is. It's such a bizarre and yet horrific idea that has transpired in the 20th century. When you think about the modern day right now, what do you have a sense that that the recognition of the Holocaust is something important in people's lives, or do you find it that the young people, particularly when they come in, are they moved by this? Are young people understanding why this is such an important historical event?
Well, again, people come here from many backgrounds, from around the world, and some come here with a very good understanding, historical understanding of the event before they come, and others come here and this is their first confrontation with the event. So everybody's going to look at it somewhat differently. But we have the sense here in Israel, certainly among our own population, that young people are more interested in the Holocaust than they've ever been. And they're interested, again, because issues that come from the Holocaust speak to them today.
Like, what do you mean by that? Explain that.
Well, again, the issues about how you treat your fellow man, the issues about how people in extremity manage to sometimes rise above what's going on around them, and also from another aspect, the way people have no control sometimes about aspects of their lives. I think all of these things speak to people because they're very much a part of our world.
Coming up next, more of the story behind Yad Vashem when P3 continues.